It is beginning. Okay. Hello.
Hello, good night, Shokakap, Higuanohel, good night to everybody that is listening to this podcast. My name is Papianteu, now an international professor, but online. That's the yeah, online international professor. Let me tell you something, Paul. Let me announce. This is the first for a native university. This is the first time we did even have to begin to produce the materials for the now what is going to be the international division of study. And I'm going to be the director of this area and the professor in this case for these brave and honest and beautiful students that are joining these classes. And is going to, it has the validation. It's going to have the validation of the UMK, Univeridad Maya Kaqchikel, and it's going to go along also with the second publication with the publication of my second book and the production of the third one. So it's good times for academics, good times for the Mayans, and for the first time in history for the opening of this kind of classes, and I'm very happy to announce it.
Me too. I'm really, really excited. I've been looking to study in a place like this for a long time. And actually, maybe more than 10 years I've been studying the Zolkin. And, to finally have a place like this where I can really learn in a formal setting is very, very, very exciting for me.
In this case, this specific one goes with the validation of an university, a native university, a Mayan university with the academical background, not only of the professor, but all the plantel, all the people in the university. Then that's what is going to make the difference. And I'm not really, I know this is the first time ever that this is going to happen.
The fact that it happened because of the pandemic, all the schools were closed here, and so all the education moved to online. And I just thought, well, why not do this as well? I'm really happy about this year so far, actually, even though it's been really crazy.
So curious, right? Yeah, so curious. Well, like 7 years ago, I began to spread some stuff. I began to produce some videos. I began to do stuff in English, Spanish, and Mayan. But it was only my efforts. Now that there's people interested from podcast and from Eduardo Fernato's videos and the way that we are spreading authentic knowledge from the KICHE Highlands, yes, this is the time to put every single effort into one big project, like giving classes or providing the classes, or what is this new way of doing stuff, and also for the UMK, the university, to be precisely also on the level to produce, to do it, to have the background, and to plant new seeds of the same of the university, but in the world, because every new student is always related to the is going to be forever connected with the university, connected in spirit, and not only but also. So there are so many beautiful things that we can talk about. By the way, this is the Mayan calendar daykeeper journal, and I have to make the remark that is not that you are going to be an ahij, a spiritual guide, or necessarily you are going to know how we keep the time, which is the proper way, and which are the applications that you can do with this. If later you jump to something else, that has to be presential, and that you have to roam the mountains, the caves, and the waterfalls and stuff in Mayan land. But the specific way of understanding, or these specific classes that are going to be given, we are not going to mix anything. We are going to go deep into the Mayan ways of understanding the epistemology, the ontology of perception and epistemology. So very welcome all you nerdies that were always looking for this kind of knowledge. Now it's available. It's going to be available.
That's very, very amazing. And I really hope that as a result of all these students studying, the university can become a publisher of all kinds of very interesting and amazing research.
Well, one thing that is very amazing, and some of you that has already been listening to this podcast, is that whenever the proper knowledge and the right, and I'm not saying righteous, the right, the correct, the honest, the direct, the deep, the one that is based on the real linguistics of Mayans, whenever this knowledge is applied to the world, it goes beyond the Mayan boundaries or borders. It goes beyond the matrix of the culture that produced this knowledge. This goes for every human being in every place of the world, and even goes beyond any religious or spiritual tendency or connection or predilection that you will have. This knowledge can be applied in an amazing way to explain so many different things firsthand. So if you are in Japan and you know already what animism is, if you listen to the explanation of the Mayan calendar, then you can apply it. The other day I was listening to a history about a Vietnamese woman that was telling me that that she was kind of reluctant to listen to stuff in English, but it was my book. I don't know how she knew about my book, but she says that she felt so connected with what I was talking or what I was saying because she knew a midwife in Vietnam that also applies, if not the same, she also takes into account that the baby is fully conscious, for example. That was one of the purposes for me to write in my book. But at the same time, this is something that really, really gets me excited for to listen to every student, that everyone that is going to be my student, to listen to their histories about what this going beyond borders, this interculturality, and this, and what can you produce based on the real and authentic Maya calendar. It's going to be amazing. We are going to produce publishing, we are going to publish stuff based on this because this is very important for us as a culture, as a validation also for a culture.
That's very interesting that you're saying that because that was the original idea for the podcast, was that I was profoundly impacted by learning about the Zolkeen, and it changed my whole perception of so many, many, many different things. And I was very interested to talk to other people who had the similar experience because, for me, every single person is so interesting, right? Each person's life is like a novel, amazing novel. And you could just ask everybody and they will tell you the most unbelievable things you can't imagine. And it just goes down the list. And, because of the internet, everybody's just spaced all over the world. And so one of the first people I made a connection with was Eagle Solomon in Israel.
Yeah, my friend.
I was reading his blog like 10 years ago, and I sent him an email. I was like, hey, man, I'm reading your blog. And he was like, no way. And then we became friends like that, and just to continue, and it just goes on and on and on. Yeah, very, very, very interesting.
Well, not that you talk about that. By the way, there's going to be an Hebrew translation of my book that precisely.
I'm very excited about that.
This beautiful man is doing. So, well, but beyond that, yes, that's the idea, the purpose, that's the point. And by the way, for me, that was also the case. We call it recibir la vara, to receive the staff, to receive the staff that is the marking point of you becoming an spiritual guide. When I have said this previously in some other podcast, when I receive it, I will want. My idea was to keep it very secretly, very secret. I didn't want Some people close to me knew about me because I was absent during years. Even my stepsister, she was very sad because she thought that after years of silence, maybe I was dead. And my house was plainly abandoned in all those years. And she came to see one day she broke a window, entered the house, and saw that there was no skeleton in bed or stuff like that, right? But she was very sad because there was no communication. And I was in mountains in times in which there was no communication at all. There was no cellular phones, no stuff like that. And I keep it. I tried to keep it secret. I tried to keep it like that. But as soon as we returned next week, I was having work. Like, oh, now you are a healer, right? Yeah, and everybody trusted me. And that was one of the first things that I really that I really have to be prepared for. There was a moment in which I thought, how am I going to heal or to do all the proper stuff for these people that does not know anything about the Mayan calendar, that does not knows anything about the way we work, or for example, like as I said, sometimes in the Mayan lands, it's like, tell me your dreams, or have questions like that. Have you tell me your dreams? Which was the last dream, or which was the last time that you were singing, or stuff like that. And here in the city, I was like, I cannot apply the same, but I was uh, I was preoccupied about that. And then, for different purposes, I began to travel to the USA. And then it was the same. There was people that says, I want to have a consultation, and I was like, oh my gosh, what I'm going to do? But no, it was very smoothly way in which the Mayan calendar can show and prove that although it is based on a basic matrix cultural frame, it's very easy just to go with that knowledge, go beyond that knowledge, and to be applied very beautifully for every aspect of the life. And for me, it was very, very important because I was dealing with, first in the USA, with what is called Anglo people, but also with Native Americans and also with Mexican Americans. And all the time it applies very beautifully, as I said, smoothly. And I found the interculturality, very beautiful processes in which this calendar as a frame of time, as a way of counting or using tools, mathematical tools to understand the sun, the moon, Venus, and beyond the myths and ideas, how it proves to be very, very, very beautiful to understand everything. not just simple stuff, but everything.
I think actually one thing that we can maybe say is that it's a way of explaining all systems. Every system is explained using this type of mathematical calculation. It explains
Yes.
systems. It's a map of every system that exists.
It's based on the Mayan calendar is based on the movements of the sun, the moon, Venus, the stars, some stars specifically, some stars. But yes, and also is based, explains also agricultural processes, the rain, the lands, it reads the clouds and the human pregnancy. And then you can go to mathematics, then to agricultural purposes, and then you discover that you are, in reality, that you are entering into everything. As a man, when I began to study the things about baby delivering, I was like, oh my gosh, no, please, no blood, no nothing. I just wanted some other stuff. But at the end, I began discovering that every single knowledge was interconnected, and that you can apply the same basic stuff of, let's say, the same basic forms of knowledge to use it in different sciences and philosophies. And that is beautiful, as you can only imagine. Then I wasn't afraid anymore when traveling to different places, and talking about the Mayan calendar. Finally, I found my way.
So you were very
In my
shy
own
at first.
expression. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I try not to talk about it usually unless somebody asks, and if they ask, sincerely, because like, nobody wants to talk about this stuff because it's too, I think, radical or maybe strange for people, and so most people, they just want to talk about very simple things like the weather or sports or simple stuff. They don't want to talk about or some comedian or funny stuff, but not so much like they want to talk about philosophy and all kind of ancient civilizations and system theories and all kinds of just wacky stuff. Only the strange people.
In my case, I'm going to tell you all the people that also I wanted to hide the stuff. I wanted to be free, like to arrive into a union and get drunk the way I wanted, and not to be labeled as the spiritual guide is drunk. I just wanted to get drunk, for example. And that is an explanation, not of drunkenness, but as a metaphor for everything, as to go free doing stuff. But anyways, well, I couldn't do it. So now, now I wanted free of expression and movement. But anyways, okay. I found now my own way of, and well, people that follow the podcast, right, noticing that I have my own way of expression. I'm not in any way a square guy or a square spiritual guy, but this is what interculturality shows or gives you as one of the lessons. Because now I'm going to deal with different people from different places of the world with different backgrounds and also what is called idiosyncrasies or idiosyncrasias, and that's going to be such a challenge. You have to be open. I'm flowing I'm flowing freely and happily to achieve these new tasks.
Well, it's it's the beginning of something hopefully very, very rewarding and successful and fun too.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Actually, one thing I'm very, very excited about is I would like to actually meet everybody and see everybody all together.
Are you talking about the students? Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to have a session that is going to be especially devoted for that. We don't even know if English is going to be their native tongue or something. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. We need to know each other. So I have to do the diplomatic stuff between the students, which in those moments were only the interested ones. We cannot be already said that we were the registered ones, and what is our own way of doing authority, or because there's a director, yes, as in any school, but there's also a council, there's also an academical committee, and the coordinator of studies, and now I'm going to begin the international one, and it was heavy negotiation, especially introducing the idea and what is the value for Westerners also to know, to have this knowledge. And once again, I can go back to Will Freeman's beautiful video. Now this time it could be the real ones. Now you can see the real ones. So the director, after all these studies, all these presentations, after all these negotiations, after me doing 3 idioms translations of papers, he's very happy, and he's going to, in the first class or the first meeting, he has offered, when we resolve the technical difficulties to go through, he has offered the first speech for the students. We need to see what is going to happen in the world, what is going to be troubling in the world, what is going to be moving in the world in this new area. But at the same time, if we finalize and the students are ready, maybe they can graduate in Guatemala in the basic Mayan way that is not really in any way connected with what is the way in which the graduation is in the Western world. This is a very different way in which you have to stay with all your insignias during all the night, and then a very beautiful Mayan ceremony for giving you the titles and stuff like that. But talking about what can be done now in this moment beyond pandemic is that the director is going to give you a speech, and you are going to meet who is above me in this case, my director. I'm an associate professor of the UMK, but he's the director, and he has offered a speech for you, which is, by the way, amazing.
I think that's
This
great
is
news.
the first time this is going to happen. So please join us in the joy.
How can people find out about when is the presentation?
Well, we're going to make the announce directly with people that is interested. What we can do now, or what we can announce, is that if some people that is listening to this podcast and is interested, they can send an email to an email or a private message to the Leaving the Sulking page for the ones that are interested in these classes. And by directing this, you are going to receive the information procedures and which is going to be the fee. We are just in moments in which we are preparing all the papers. So if you are interested, you can already contact the Leaving the Sulking page. That has been till this moment the point in which every interest has been collected and directed. So Paul, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. You know, it's a great joy to be able to have the opportunity to get to do this. So it's it's one of my favorite hobbies, and I'm really excited to take studying the Zolking to the next more formal level. So thank you very much too for providing the teachings, and also providing the opportunity for us as students to learn. So I'm really excited to begin, and also to meet everybody, to talk to everybody, for all the beautiful ideas that we'll come up with as a class. And it would be a dream of mine to be able to go to the Guatemala graduation ceremony. I don't know if I can, but maybe I can. We'll see what happens when we get there. But that would be really fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's 1 year, by the way. We haven't said that. This is going to be a 1 year classes. Is going to be divided in into 4 different models, and we're going to follow what is the direction of the universe ways. Like the first one is going to be in the rising of the sun, the second one in the sunset, the third one in the 4 corners of the sky, and it's going to be divided in 3 months. So we're going to finish the 12 months after the 4 different stages. Is 1 year. So let's see what is going to happen. There's no requisite for to speak any Mayan language, but if you know, well, perfect. I am the only one that is going to talk in English and in Mayan, but you're going to learn some basics of Mayan, because the most beautiful stuff is to have the answers. As when I was asking, how did you know which is the word that you use for the consciousness or for enhancing consciousness, by the way, and why have to be enhanced, or what is the frame to understand that in the Mayan world something has to be enhanced. But I'm going to teach you which are the proper words, which, and if Fabian is going to ask you one day about that, you will have the answers based on the very matrix of the culture that is still producing this knowledge as a science and philosophy.
That's very, very exciting.
Yeah, and not the and not let's say, and not the knowledge for the Enlightenment Congress 2020. This is the real knowledge.
2012.
Well, next year, 2021.
That's a good thing to say on the internet. I'm gonna post that. Yeah, this is 2012. Man, the Mayan calendar returns. Oh, that's wow, that's actually good. 2012, the return of the Mayan calendar. I'm gonna write that down. Funny. Okay, well, that's a great announcement, for the podcast, and also just for the beginning of the course. And is there anything else you wanted to say today?
Well, I would want to say to interested folks that obviously due to technology stuff, you have to understand and to consider that the first group, although it's not going to be a small, we're not talking about 5 or 10. Well, hurry up, try to make as soon as possible to enter into registration. One other thing that is always misled and misconfused about spirituality is obviously that we're going to ask for a fee, to charge some money for the classes, obviously. And as I said, the benefit is going to be for the students and also for the university, not only for my person as a guru. I'm already enlightened, and and sorry, and so the registration, try to make it fast. There's going to be a way to do planification in economics. If you cannot pay at the first moment, maybe you can do it in different stages. And but one thing that I would want to say is that this has never been presented, offered, or been open to the world. So we do need to have to respect that as such, not as if you are really honest with the Mayan knowledge, with the Mayan communities, with the real Mayan knowledge and the real connection with the peoples of the mountains, this is your place. Or are you already a very expert on what is Arguelles? Well, this is not your place. We don't love your teacher. This is not.
Wrong saloon.
Yeah, wrong saloon. But it's not about making now division once again.
Sorry,
it's just like we want to flow with harmony as every and in any place of learning, right? Because there's always people that says things to me like, okay, but I read that this is the other way. Well, yes. Where did you read that? Okay, in the internet. Oh my gosh, once again, sadly, there's no real good information and not in English. There are some good places or some good students, or there are even some movies in which there are things that are authentic and shown and with authentic spiritual guides, but they're not that accessible. There's a BBC documentary that is The Burden of Time. That is a very beautiful one. There's authentic Mayan elders appearing over there, but that's not the kind of material that is usually easy to see in the internet.
Yeah, that's why we use the name apprenticeship, is because an apprenticeship is it's sort of it's an acceptance of a role of studying or a task or a role of student, and so it's the apprenticeship is something that's entered into. It's not just a lecture. or a class or something, because I thought it described the right sort of spirit or the right heart to have when studying, because you have to have the the correct heart, or the right spirit or the right mind to study something honestly.
Exactly, that's the point. And later we're going to discover, I know for sure, we're going to discover new ways, new paths, and what is going to be the continuation, and what is going to be the next step. Mayan knowledge of the calendar has no end. There are so many beautiful applications of knowledge, as it has been, like for me, like for example, the last thing that one day in my mind was to be assisting a midwife, and one day receiving a baby. But I did. But I know some other applications of the Mayan calendar. Not only the medicine, there's beautiful mathematics, and there's beautiful ways of, if you will want to say healing, well, medicine, if you will want to say it like that. Because sometimes healing is also related to the spirit, and medicine is always some sort of related with some more like formal knowledge about what is illness or what is the way of recovering. Well, medicine also. There are so many things like the knowledge of herbs, dreaming, agricultural purposes, midwifery, astronomics, dance, music. There are so many other ways that we can explore, and this is what excites me. That this is the first opportunity, but this, I know that this is going to open to more and more and more.
The possibility, is the sky, really, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, the one thing that I've actually always had a keen interest in and would really like to go more deeply into is agriculture.
Mm.
I think, because Mayan agriculture to me is just the most amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you look at the impact that chocolate has had in the world, it's insane.
Exactly. And by the way, let me tell you something about this, because this is very interesting. The other day,
the cocoa bean or the chili pepper. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the other day there was a woman that called me, and she said, "Fabi, do you know how to prepare the land? Do you know how to put the seeds? You know how to blah blah blah?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And she was like, "Well, remember that in 2012 I was asking you the same for the end of the world?" I said, "Yes, I remember." I told her, "Yes, I remember that you were very concerned with that." She was even selling stuff. She was even selling some of things, because she really thought that the NASA has made the announcement that an asteroid was approaching the Earth, and but she wanted me to come to some sort of a ranch or something to teach them how to plant corn, and if I knew how to make oil-based corn for some other purposes, that I was more than welcome. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is December 2012. I'm going to go to Germany. I told her, because we were going to the Museum of the Man to precisely to talk about how the world was not going to end. And she was very upset. She was very angry. She said, "We need you here in your lands in Mexico to teach us how to produce corn, because the world is going to end, and you are a motherfucker that is going to Germany." And she hung
2012.
Yeah, and she hung the phones. Well, 8 years later, she called me the other day to ask me exactly the same, but now, because pandemic has to change the world and we have to be autonomous. And I said, well, 8 years later, you have better ideas. Okay, you have shown a progress, I said to her, and I'm not joking about you. I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. It is a good idea to produce your own corn, your own vegetables. It's like printing your own money. It's like having your own money, your own bank. And that is a good idea. And obviously, the Mayan calendar told you which is the moments, the pulses in time, humidity, preparing the land, the seeds, and stuff like that, talking even to the plants, doing the proper stuff of approaching a living being. And obviously I can do it. We can follow, we can do that. Now I am in the city. This is not a place for me to produce corn, but I have my land back in my town. And now it's a rented land because I'm not there in these moments, but I can teach how to do that, obviously.
That's very, very cool. I would really love to enter into that world and to be able to. I've become very interested in farming and gardening recently too. Maybe just like your friend. Just to say,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been looking at getting a farm. I want to have a spring with some water so I could have drinking water. I want to have
Well,
a place
it
a
can be
place for
done
fishing
also
by the
in a
sea.
green.
Etc.
Yeah, it can also be done in a green sailing in your house if you have the access to the upper part of your house. But it's beautiful to know that kind of stuff. And well, I'm open also to that. But also because what? Well, there are so many doulas now interested in what is the way. Because sadly, some sort of that knowledge is very directed to the woman and to the mother as such, which is good. But if you shift a little bit to understand the baby, it is going to be different. And some of those knowledge are also ultra feminist, based on ultra feminism. So sometimes they don't take into account what is complementarity. In the Mayan ways, that is an unified way of explaining birth. You also have to take into account the baby and which is the partner or the absence of the partner to understand which is the full frame. That does not take off any of the power of the feminine, but you have to take into account everything. And this knowledge gives you that frame. So I know that some doulas are very interested in learning stuff like this too. For
That's
example,
amazing. See, there's
yeah.
so many interesting and fascinating questions that well everybody has really.
Mhm.
Not,
Completely, totally. There's no necessity to have previous knowledge, but also there's no necessity to have prejudgment of anything. This is the Mayan lens, the authentic, based on the support of an university, native university, that is fighting back folklorization, the dark ages of Westerners, treating us as savages, and we're bringing this knowledge as the light of in the light of philosophy and science for the modern times. We are not we belong to our communities. But the academical director, for example, he's in this moment he's producing vegetables, and the other one is in the milpa, and some of them are weavers. This is our world. What we're doing is the honest, real one. It's the real ones. There's not. I'm not going to talk about Pacal's traveling to the universe, and there's no place for that. Please.
actually, that's another thing that I would really like to learn some basic Mayan weaving.
Well, that has to be presential, but we can do it.
That would be very, very interesting, and I think a lot of people too would be very interested,
Mhm.
at least to witness and see it. But even some basic, things to try would also be. It would be really cool.
I can coordinate the stuff. My family is a family of weavers. Maybe I can coordinate that, but later. Let's
Yeah,
let's
sure.
let's see
Be
what
a,
the or how things unfold, even in the world. But for the first, but let's light this candle now.
I'm really looking forward to to seeing you online and in the first class.
Oh my gosh. Well, me too. I want to see all of you, and see your beautiful faces. But well, do you know what I mean? Some of you are already learned from my podcast, and some of you already asked me crazy stuff, but beautiful, honest, and beautiful, very very interesting stuff. So I would want to know what is in reality the connection with you in continuity frame, not just isolated as it has been till this moment.
That I'm actually most excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I have seen the change in people. Even I have had some cousins that were kind of a little reluctant, indifferent even. Uh, there's something very beautiful about this way of following the Mayan calendar, or maybe I have to say maybe my way. I don't know, but it has to be always opening ways of how of to see the marvel of the world, and we're both always full of pain and delusion and happiness and smiling in the middle of the storms, but you can see the beauty behind that, and the Mayan calendar can give you that, and this is a way to explore that now for you, international, for people from different countries.
The announcement for we're going to start the class, and it's going to be uh, an accredited class delivered via the University of Maya Kaqchikel in which city is the university?
It is called Shenakoh. Shenakoh is a beautiful town who has, as some other beautiful Mayan aldeas or places in which the knowledge is preserved, it has a very beautiful, very sacred mountain that is connected with the order in which all the calendarical stuff is going to be given. Is the nucleus, is the belly of the universe for the community. The Maya Kaqchikel has different places, different campuses. They're located in different areas of Guatemala lands, but we are going to be connected with the Shenakoh campus.
Okay. I think we've sort of made our announcement, of the class, and that we will be sending out formal registration very, very soon, sometime in the next.
In this Tina, yes, that's a
Good.
better way to say that. And we
Perfect.
have to use the power of this Tricina.
Right. Yes, we certainly need the power. What is the power of this Tricina, by the way?
In this Tricina, due to the fact that this is connected to the ancestors, and as we were told in the Popol Vuh, well, you have to go to the light. You have to come to the light. You have to be in the Popol Vuh it says it is always make like an effort, or to make a special remark on sak, the white clarity, to enter into clarity. So this Trocena can help us, or we can be leading that also to the ancestors. First of all, it's their knowledge and their effort to be preserved. Now I especially have to make the effort to keep it the way they preserve it, but in the modern times, which it should be like to evolve and to adapt to modern times, but not to be distortioned.
Can you say that in KICHE, to enter into clarity, or to enter into whiteness?
Well,
How to say
well,
in what's the word?
that is That is something that you can read in the Popol Vuh. By the way, this is included in the invitation letter that the ancestors told us to go into clarity. And is saqallah, that's the word, like saq, like is white, and kallah, like transparent. Saqallah, ube, apial, that let us be our path full of clarity and transparency. But at the same time, it's also the path of the sun that is going to arise new for light and clarity every morning. But also at the same time, it speaks about the efforts to be into fight, or to be deep into some big stuff, for then arrive to clarity, for to enter into light. So it is always a combination about veil, path, your path, our path, el, that it means like someone is going out, or like arriving to, or like if you were enclosed in darkness, then you el, like going into, entering into, or going out to light. Sak, akil, Allah, like transparency. And
Allah,
Allah is
Allah,
Kala is always used like that, like clarity light, or clarity transparency, or entering into clarity and transparency, to go away from darkness, or to be not to be enclosed in darkness, but to go out, or to step outside to the path of clarity. Saqalak be'il, saqalak be.
Saqalak be'il. That's very, very cool and interesting, and fun too, to practice learning Mayan words, and also just the philosophies connected to the words is very, 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 very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does very nicely is it changes your perception of.
Well, in the second unit of apprenticeship, that is going to be second trimester. I'm going to be making effort of putting you into what is the ontology of the self, or the perception of us in the Mayan way, based on the a study of how we talk about consciousness, but not as a guru, and not in the way in which is used in Hinduism. This is beyond that. We're not going to talk about reincarnation, or chakras, or energy, or moral stuff, or dharma, karma, or any system of understanding that is connected with that way of understanding consciousness. We're going to talk about consciousness in the way we talk in Mayan, based on the Mayan language, which is basically more connected with what is the biological, let's say, contemporary psychological way of talking about consciousness, to be conscious, to be aware. Based on that, I'm going to present which is the Mayan frame to understand that, for a better way to understand what is inside us, and what is the way, or which is the way in which we express stuff. That is an ontology of the self, and I'm going to present this way to present another way of perception, how we can shift without feeling ridiculous about entering different realms, but in a smooth, beautiful, sweet way, not, as I said, not by pressuring you and telling you how wrong you have been in your life. That's not the problem. That's not my way, by the way. So in the second unit, we're going to shift into that, to go into clarity, but also understanding how we talk about what is being conscious, and what is the consciousness, for example, of the baby during pregnancy, which is the way in which we consider a plant conscious, aware. Your own house, how to treat and how to respect everything surrounding in your surrounding. That is a way of using your consciousness. But that's in second unit.
We have to wait.
Yes, I'm not waiting. Well,
The
I have
suspense
to.
is killing me. No, I'm just joking.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Well, I'm
I
happy for
can't
this.
wait.
I have a philosophical inclination all the time, and
Mm.
I even attended school, philosophy school in university and stuff like that. But then I shifted to this beautiful way of looking at the world.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking at the world through these lenses uh, for a very very long time, and trying to slowly, little by little, piece this together. You know, it's like a puzzle for me. You know, you
Yeah.
find a piece and you're like, where does this piece go? And it's this huge puzzle, thousands of pieces, and you're just little by little, it's starting to emerge and become, more and more. So it's really been actually just a fun and rewarding process.
Well, yes, and by the way, you can use the word enlightened in any ways. Enlightened, getting into the light, entering into the light, but, and consciousness. But
Sakalat,
well, we're
Ben.
going to salar, yeah. Ishkel pasak salió a la luz. It came into the light. But in the Mayan way, it's not. It's more connected or more related to the act of putting off what is the garbage in front of you, what is something that is not about enhancing but cleaning. Is more like that. It's different. It's a different way. We don't believe in reincarnation, so there's no purpose on so many other things. I'm not going to talk about the other things. We need to finish this podcast saying that, well, you are very welcome. We're going to appreciate every effort of learning. I already said what is this all about, and I hope to see you soon. It really soon. If there are things that we have to prepare, or that technical stuff, or that some registration stuff gets complications, well, have patience with us. This is the first time for the university. My coordinator, personal coordinator, that is Paul, and me as a professor. So uh, 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 give us patience, as this is the first time. Every first time has always its difficulties, but we're opening the path. And opening the path is precisely what I was born to.